Good, everybody's here. Amy, ready to go? All right. Let's start the meeting. Welcome to DDRC members, staff, and guests. We ask for your patience during this meeting. Multiple staff members are behind the scenes to make sure that the meeting runs smoothly and all applicants and citizens are able to communicate with the commission at the appropriate time. If you are watching virtually, you may see images of anyone present at the meeting. However, images of anyone participating virtually will not be visible.
In addition to watching the meeting virtually, the public will be able to participate via these methods: email, phone, log into a web session, or participate in person. When participating, please provide your name for documentation purposes. If you're watching, you can stream the meetings through City TV at www.youtube.com/user/Columbia-SC-Government. You may submit letters and statements via email to cocboardmeeting@columbiasc.gov leading up to and/or during the meeting, as this account will be monitored throughout the proceedings. Emails or letters sent during the meetings will be read into the record. Emails or letters received prior to the meeting have been forwarded to the commission. You can phone in if you like. You can call 855-925-2801. When prompted, please enter the meeting code 4225. Those participating by phone will receive 3 options on how to participate. *1 will allow you to listen. *2 will allow you to record a voicemail message that will be read into the record. *3 will allow a participant to be placed in a queue so they may speak live when prompted. Please make sure your computer audio is muted if calling in live via your phone. You can stream the meeting via the web at publicinput.com/COC-DDRC-SEP 2021. If you're here in person today to speak about a case, you must speak up when the chairperson calls for public comment. Now I'll call the roll. Mr. Baker?
Here.
Mr. Broom?
Here.
Ms. Jaco?
Here.
Ms. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Salibi?
Here.
And Mr. Wolf?
Here.
We have quorum.
In order to avoid ex parte communications, DDRC members are under strict instructions not to discuss cases under consideration with the public or with each other outside of the public forum. The meeting typically starts with staff calling the case, giving a summary of the project, and then calling on the applicant to present if they wish. Decisions are typically made in one evening. Decisions may be appealed within 30 days to a court of competent jurisdiction. Oaths will be administered individually as we hear either from applicants or from live speakers. Applicants with request before the DDRC are allotted a presentation time of 10 minutes. This time should include, but is not limited to, an overview of the project, case history, and any pertinent meetings held regarding the request. This time also includes all persons presenting information on behalf of the applicant, such as attorneys, engineers, and architects. This time limit does not include any questions asked by the DDRC or staff regarding request. Members of the general public are given the opportunity to address their concerns in intervals of 2 minutes. Applicants may have 5 minutes to respond. Staff has a timer and will make presenters aware of when their time has expired. And also just want to reinforce the importance with the mask on of speaking loudly, clearly, and slowly. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes.
The DDRC uses the consent agenda to approve non-controversial or routine matters by single motion and vote. If a member of the DDRC or the general public wants to discuss an item on the consent agenda, they must speak up immediately after the consent agenda is read and ask that a project be removed from the consent agenda and considered as part of the regular agenda during the meeting. The DDRC then approves the remaining consent agenda items. Will staff please review the consent agenda?
Certainly. The first item is 2405 Sumter Street, a request for design approval for exterior changes and an addition and preliminary certification for the Baileyville. This is in the Cottontown Bellevue Architectural Conservation District. 401 through 525 Hayward Street is a request for design approval for new construction and site improvements in the Granby Architectural Conservation District. And the last is 1308 Taylor Street, a request for design approval for site improvements in the City Center Design Development District.
Is there anyone from the DDRC that would like to have any item removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there anyone from the public, either here today in person or who is participating virtually, that would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda? When participating, please provide your name for the minutes. Please communicate by sending an email to cocboardmeeting@columbiasc.gov. You may also communicate via phone by pressing *2 to leave a voicemail or *3 to speak in person. We will pause to allow communication from the public. Checking, nothing? Okay, good,
I apologize for the delay. There's about a 30-second delay.
gotcha.
I have no callers.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda and also the August minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda and the August minutes.
Have a second?
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Broom?
Yes.
Ms. Jaco?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I just want to note, Mr. Broom, we'll pull your vote from the roll call. I forgot you were recusing yourself from this, so we'll strike that. Mr. Salibi
Yes?
and Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, we will now move on to the regular agenda. Staff, please present the first case.
Sure. The first case is 2222 Main Street. This project is in the North Main Corridor overlay. The proposal is for mixed-use development on the site of the former Jim Moore Cadillac dealership between Main Street and Sumter Street and between Franklin and Scott. The development proposes 248 residential units and a few live-work units. The development utilizes primarily structured parking and some surface parking. The project was before the commission for an informational presentation in May and came before the commission last month with a request for certificate of design approval. The commission followed the staff recommendation to defer the case primarily so that the Sumter Street parking garage frontage could be further developed towards pedestrian orientation. A number of other items were noted in the motion. Staff will review the items listed in the DDRC motion from the August 12 hearing and will review the revisions that were made to address the motion. So to address the Sumter Street garage, that was part of the DDRC motion. This photograph is the Sumter Street elevation from the August hearing. And the applicant has responded by articulating the architecture of the garage frontage to better reflect the architecture of the building by using brick at the base, formed and painted concrete, and parapets to provide a more consistent material palette. The horizontality of the garage structure is broken into vertical bays of similar proportions to the residential frontage. Along the street, the bays of the garage have spaces that alternate between hardscape with low retaining walls and canopies that may be used for events, and landscaping to soften and screen the garage. Ensuring these spaces are activated and used to positively engage the pedestrian realm will need to be considered and managed moving forward. In the DDRC motion from August was that the brick be expanded on the Main Street facade bays as recommended in the staff markup. And so you can see the revised elevation at the bottom, where the applicant has revised the elevations to expand the brick as requested. And then this is also where the building turns towards the parking lot off of Main Street, and they've also expanded the brick on this parking lot side elevation. And then this just shows a perspective of that the change between the August design and then the revised elevations or perspectives. The DDRC motion from August asked that a complete elevation for Scott Street be provided. The applicant provided the elevation as requested. Staff recommends bringing the brick up to the second floor, as was done on the Main Street elevation in the areas outlined in red. The DDRC motion from August asked that fenestration calculations for the street-facing elevations be provided. Those were provided. The fenestration calculations for Main Street ground floor are 62%, for Franklin Street 51%, and because of the garage frontage on Sumter Street, there is not fenestration except for on the residential portion. So the applicant is recommending mitigating this by providing articulation in the form of canopies and hardscape areas for art and event space, along with murals that add interest when the space is not being utilized for events. More details should be provided as they are developed to include lighting for the event space and for the murals, as well as any fixed site furnishings. Window details and sections and material details and cut sheets should be provided. That was part of the August motion. In your packet, you should have seen the window sections and details. The windows in brick are typical with a 3 to 4 inch relief. The brick in the lap siding has the least relief, with the windows and panel siding providing slightly more. While these sections do not provide a great deal of relief and shadow, the building is broken up into recessed bays and projections, so there are not great expanses of flat surfaces. Other elements help to articulate the facade, such as the siding and trim details, brick detailing at the material transitions, as well as balconies and canopies. And then also in the DDRC motion from August was that roof-mounted utility equipment screening be provided, if applicable. And as the applicant testified in the August hearing, there will not be roof-mounted utility equipment visible from the street. And this is just, these are some more street-level perspectives, renderings of the Sumter Street event spaces that are proposed along the garage frontage. Also on the August motion was that more information about the Main Street entrances be provided. Both of the storefront spaces on Main Street, the leasing office and the tenant amenity space will have entrances and access to the public sidewalk on Main Street as indicated on the south side level 1 floor plan. And then also in the August motion was that retaining wall sections be provided to better understand how the grade change will affect the pedestrian realm. The north side level 1 plan and the elevations help to tell the story of how grade changes will be handled at the sidewalk and the residential stoops. The retaining walls should not exceed 30 inches and should be finished with brick to match the building. Details should be reviewed and approved by staff. And then also, not part of the motion from August, but some of the discussion items that were brought up by commissioners were that the there was some concern about the stoops, as you can see in the upper rendering, being close together with the little gap in between. So they have revised the design for these A1 units to not have the two little stoops right next to each other. And then also part of the discussion in August was about providing contextual perspective, showing the streetscape and what the development would look like in context. And so this is the Sumter Street perspective. And that was looking north, and then this is looking south at the corner of Franklin. So the staff recommendation is to approve the request with the details to be deferred to staff, including but not limited to the design and activation of the Sumter Street facade, canopies, murals, site furnishings, lighting, and landscaping, and the design and placement of retaining walls. And I believe the applicant is joining us via Zoom because he is out of state and was going to have to call. So we'll see if he's here. Is there anybody? Well, it's Steve Middleton, but I think I saw the architect's name, which is Andrew, I think.
Yep. Yeah, you've got Dave Kelly and Andrew Moyer with Pool and Pool Architecture here. I don't know if Steve, I was just looking to see if he was in the meeting room, but I haven't seen him yet. But we're happy to help answer any questions as a part of what came about.
Is there anything to be presented from you today to the group? Or are you just here to answer questions as needed?
What we had provided was what was just presented there in the slideshow with the additional perspectives and renderings. We had put all that together at the request of Steve, and that was our package.
Okay, no, good. All right, I'll open up the DDRC commissioners. Any questions or follow-up? Bob, Commissioner?
I have a question about the murals on Sumter Street. Is that,
Yes.
Is that a requirement?
It's certainly not a requirement. It's a street facade treatment that we've utilized in some other urban infill areas as a opportunity to connect with both the community and offering up those pedestrian walkway and vendor points. We've seen that successfully integrated with reaching out to local community artists that are willing to come in and put their murals up in an effort to make a connection. So it was an idea that we had presented to better connect to the community for the parking deck.
Mr. Broom, to clarify, also staff had recommended that as well as something that could help to make the facade more interesting, particularly when there was not activities going on, just because it's a blank wall, and we've done that on other projects. So that was a recommendation from staff as well.
All right, understood. Thank you.
Let me ask staff, do we want to swear in the individual who just spoke on behalf of the project, even though they
Yes,
didn't
thank you.
present?
Yeah, we
Okay.
probably should do that, thanks.
So, sir, whoever just presented, if you could please state your name one more time, and did you swear to tell the truth in this proceedings and what you've said up to this point?
Sure. Absolutely. My name is David Kelly, Kelley, with Pool and Pool Architecture. And yes, I agree to those conditions.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, I did feel like there were a lot of the items addressed from all of our previous two meetings with them, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. Does anybody have any other questions or concerns on with commissioners? All right. We encourage those that would like to communicate via email to begin sending in letters and emails to cocboardmeeting@columbiasc.gov or on the web at publicinput.com/COC-DDRC-SEP 2021. For those wanting to leave a voicemail or speak live, call 855-925-2801. When prompted, please enter the meeting code 4225. Then press star 2 to begin leaving the voicemail. If you would like to speak live, press star 3. We will hear comments from anyone here who is in person. All right. Any comments received in writing?
We did receive one letter from the Elmwood Park Neighborhood Association addressed to Mr. Middleton. The Elmwood Park Neighborhood Association Board would like to express its support for your proposed development at 2222 Main in Columbia, South Carolina. Echoing our neighbors in Cottontown, we appreciate that you have engaged openly and freely with our neighborhood association, including participating in a virtual information and Q&A session with our neighborhood membership on May 20th, 2021. We share some of the same concerns regarding traffic and parking as our neighbors in Cottontown and hope that the plans to be implemented will minimize any negative impacts. We appreciate the attention to the design details and incorporation of feedback from the neighborhoods, City of Columbia staff, and DDRC board members to improve the project's aesthetic compatibility with the neighborhood. In particular, we would like to express our appreciation for proposing a building location and height that allows for a natural transition through the surrounding buffer of lower height commercial businesses to the single-family residential homes of the neighborhood. This contributes greatly to the idea of a neighborhood-scale development that maintains quality of life for residents while still allowing for higher density housing in our downtown area. Kind regards, John Wilkinson, President, Elmwood Park Neighborhood Association.
Any other comments in writing or voicemails?
Madam Chairperson and members of the DDRC, this is Steve Middleton. I just wanted to let you know that I am calling in on the phone. Got some technological challenges with my current location, so I just did want you to know that I'm here in case you have any questions.
All right, thank you. Are there any other comments received? Staff? I'm assuming not. Are we doing a delay response here?
I do not have any callers on the line.
Okay. I don't think we have any follow-up questions at this point, so I think we can move to a motion if somebody would like to make one.
I make a motion to grant a certificate of design approval to 2222 Main Street with the following details deferred to staff, including but not limited to the design and activation of the Sumter Street facade, canopies, murals, site furnishings, lighting and landscaping, and design and placement of retaining walls.
Thank you. We have a second.
Second.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Broom?
Yes.
Ms. Jaco?
Yes.
Mr. Salibi?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right, move to the next case on the agenda.
So our next case is on the historic portion of the agenda. This is 1008 Lawrence Street. This house is a classic clapboard, two-story, four-square structure with a hip roof, most likely built somewhere between the 1920s and 1930s based upon the architecture. It features an off-center entry with a single door side lights covered by a small gable roof, 5/1 paired wood windows on the front, and a 5/1 wood single window configuration on the sides. The house was cited for paint violations in April 2021, and the owner subsequently hired a contractor to address the problems. The owner would like to apply vinyl to the sides of the house as the contractor is having trouble removing the old paint from the siding and getting new paint to adhere. Like most old houses, it has been painted over many times, and at a certain point, it becomes necessary to remove layers of paint to get down to a smooth finish to get paint to adhere. The company doing the work reports trying sandblasting, which we absolutely would not recommend on historic buildings since it can damage the wood, and using a metal grinder to remove the paint, but this has not been successful for them. There are, however, alternative methods of removing paint that are recommended by preservation specialists who deal with these issues on a regular basis. The neighborhood as a whole and many homes on the street are from the same or similar eras as this one, and they're wood-sided, many of them. They all require regular maintenance in order to keep the building envelope intact and their materials in good condition. Given that these types of houses and their materials are defining features of the neighborhood wished their guidelines to specifically prohibit applying vinyl over wood siding, which the guidelines do. Vinyl not only covers original siding, it obscures or completely engulfs trim and details of the side, or it would, on the sides of the house, which is another reason it is not recommended. It has a different profile as well from wood siding. So looking at precedent in the neighborhood, staff has researched files in the University Hill Architectural Conservation District for like requests and motions, and out of dozens of requests for repair or maintenance has found no cases where vinyl siding or vinyl products have been approved for either new construction or exterior repairs based upon the guidelines. Staff finds, therefore, that the proposal to cover wood siding with vinyl siding at 1008 Lawrence Street does not meet the University Hill Architectural Conservation District Guidelines, Section 8, Item 6, and recommends denial of the proposal. And are you gentlemen here? All right. I believe we have some folks here to speak on this.
Okay. So come up, whoever's going to speak on behalf. All right. So when you get up there, if you can, state your name, and do you swear to tell the truth in these proceedings?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Max Manillo. I'm the owner of the home, and I swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. I don't know if that was part of it. Also, so this is the first time I've ever done this, so I apologize, and if y'all could sort of help me through it, I would appreciate it, just because I've never done this before.
Sure, and just to let you know, just reinforce it is 10 minutes, just so you know.
Okay, I don't think I have enough. I don't think I have enough stuff to make
yeah.
10 minutes, but anyway, thank you for having me here. This, as Ms. Amy said, this started when we were cited in April 2001 to fix the exterior of the house, which we knew had to be done. We were planning to do it earlier, but because of COVID and the pandemic, we were kind of hurting. I'm a small business owner, so it was kind of a rough time, kind of waited. I got some extra money for my officer retention bonus for the National Guard, so I thought, hey, I want a permanent solution to this, and I wanted to get vinyl. I honestly thought, my own fault for not checking into it, that because there are several houses on the street, I actually own a house across the street that is a vinyl house, so I thought it would be okay. So anyway, we got a contractor, and he said everything was fine. I trusted him. We started to vinyl the house, to which we were given a stop order because it is against the rules of the neighborhood, which I sadly found out then. I did work with Miss Amy. We came up with a plan. We were actually going to vinyl the rear end of the house because it wasn't seen from the neighborhood, and repaint the other three sides, which we did, and I thought that was going to be a great plan, but the problem was pretty soon after it started to peel off, as you saw from those pictures. Sorry, I sort of lost where I was going here. The contractor did sand, treat, used an oil-based primer, oil-based paint for the house. It was a reputable contractor. They really did I watched them do the work, and they did a thing. It's already peeling off. The reason why I would really hope for your consideration to let me vinyl the house is I really would like a permanent solution. I understand that it is a historic district and that it is important to preserve the neighborhood. I would really like a permanent solution. I did bring some pictures comparing the rear side of the house that was vinyl compared to the paint, and I'll give that to y'all. I understand that it can obscure some features and fixtures of the original wood. But I think it looks very good. I don't think it compromises the integrity of the house and what it looks like in the neighborhood. And the solutions that we had talked about in our meeting, obviously the hardy plank was one of the materials that is allowed. I personally cannot afford $50,000+ job hardy plank. And I understand there's the Bailey bill, which is a great program. I just don't have the funds to put that up front. So that's an issue for me personally. We did work out a plan. Everyone's been great to work with. I really just hope for your consideration in this, just because I really would like a solution that's going to protect my house, because like you saw, the paint is peeling off and it's really starting to wear down the integrity of my home. And I'm getting deployed overseas in the spring, and I really would like to not have to worry about this while I'm gone. And like I said, I'm willing to, be creative if we can work something out with the hardy plank, vinyl combo. I mean, I will just keep repainting the house. It's just, I'm gonna have to keep repainting it, and the side of my home is kind of falling apart, and I don't have the means to replace the wood or buy hardy plank. I did bring some pictures for y'all to include, and then also a quote of the hardy plank. I did do the due diligence to find like how much it would cost, because I would love to put the hardy plank on there and solve the problem. I just can't at this time, and that's sort of all I have, I guess. If there's questions that I can answer, something I might have left out, I'd appreciate it. But thank you all for your time.
Yeah, okay, yeah, and actually, I do have a couple of follow-ups. One is when I asked staff, and you made a comment earlier about there was houses on the street in vinyl. I'm assuming these are houses that are outside of the historic district, or what?
No, they would be inside, but they would have been vinyl prior to the designation.
Gotcha, okay, all right. And also,
And one thing, ma'am, actually, like for that, I actually saw, like I own the house across the street. It was on slide 70. I mean, I understand that the vinyl looks different, but I think if you look at the two houses, the one on the right is painted and the one on the left is vinyl. I don't know. I think they look, I don't think you can tell. So that's why I originally thought, oh, my house that I already own is vinyl, so this is okay. But obviously, that was my fault for making an assumption.
and I had another question for you as well.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, staff definitely outlined, I guess, processes that people do go through to try to remove the paint. I mean, has all of this been done, or where are we on this list here?
To be honest, I don't have the exact step-by-step, but I made sure when I hired someone that they knew they had experience redoing historic homes with that old of wood. They said they properly treated it, removed the paint, and painted over it with the right paint. And I even looked up to make sure it was an oil-based primer and paint. But all the specific steps, I don't know at this time.
It just, I mean, I can see that staff's comments is more about the process used to try to remove what is there prior to putting on a new code. That's
Yes,
what I'm
ma'am.
trying to understand. All right, let me open up to other commissioners. Anybody else have any questions or follow-up for staff applicant? Okay, I'm going to move on. We encourage those that would like to communicate via email to begin sending in letters and emails to COC Board Meeting at columbiasc.gov or the web at publicinput.com/COC-DDRC-SEP2021. For those wanting to leave a voicemail or speak live, call 855-925-2801. When prompted, please enter the meeting code 4225, then press star 2 to begin leaving the voicemail. If you would like to speak live, press star 3. Are there any comments from anyone who is here in person,
Ma'am,
in addition to the applicant? Yes.
my property manager reminded me, just to emphasis on the effort that they did for the removing of the paint. They spent 3 weeks trying to remove the paint before they even put on a coat. So I don't know. It's really on there.
And I'm assuming, I know you've probably been meeting or talking with staff about process that has been used to this point. Staff, you got any?
To this point, yeah, we
Yeah.
have not spoken further about other, some of the preservation processes that are recommended for paint removal. So as far as I know, those have not been attempted.
Okay. Let's move forward and see if we have any of the comments we've received, and
Yes,
then we
ma'am.
can circle back, okay? Any comments in writing?
Yes, we did receive one email. It states, "Dear Chairperson Jaco and members of the Design Development Review Commission, the University Hill Neighborhood Association is strongly opposed to permitting the proposed changes to the facade of 1008 Lawrence Street, which is within the boundaries of both our neighborhood and the longstanding architectural conservation district that coincides with most of it. The use of vinyl siding strikes at the heart of architectural conservation concerns. This frame property, contributing to our National Register of Historic Places neighborhood landmark designation, is part of a group of 4 similar age and frame homes on the same side of the street and immediately to the north of 1008 Lawrence, 1012, 1014, and 1016/18. As such, we object strongly to the proposed changes. While this property is not well maintained with trash, etc., it is part of the historical architectural character of the block, not to mention of the neighborhood. In a recent restoration of 1700 Pendleton Street, a few blocks away in our neighborhood, the vinyl siding cover, inappropriately applied many years ago over wood siding, was removed. This is the direction which our conservation district takes us. Many of us have spent a great deal of time and money to preserve our properties, and as staff points out in detail, it is only poor maintenance to date that has left the facade in the state it is in. As staff also points out, it is remediable, and when remedied in accordance with architectural guidelines, the results will be more durable as well as historically appropriate. This property has been in the Architectural Conservation District for half a century. The maintenance requirements are well known. We urge you to deny the applicant's petition. Thank you, Thomas R. Gottschall, President, University Hill Neighborhood Association, Catherine Braun-Finner, Vice President, Travis Weatherford, Secretary, John McGill, Treasurer, Sandra Allison, ex-counsel, Kaki Ziegler, ex-counsel, Steve Francis, ex-counsel, Raj Alluri, ex-counsel, Julia Stefik, ex-counsel, and Mark Manos, past president.
Any other communications?
So I do have, looks like 2 partial voicemails. I will attempt to play them here.
All right.
Good morning. My name is Tom Gottschall. I am president of the University Hill Neighborhood Association. We sent a letter opposing the alterations to 1008 Lawrence Street. That was done on behalf of the whole neighborhood, but I wanted to make a quick personal statement myself. I have lived 1824.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, it cuts off there. And it looks like the next one is also cut off.
Good afternoon. My name is Tom Gottschall. I am president of the University Hill Neighborhood Association. I and others have signed a letter which presumably has already been read to you regarding 1008 Lawrence Street. We hope the request for vinyl siding will be disapproved. All the officers of our
I do not have any other callers on the line.
Okay, so all communications been received? Yes, okay. I don't know, do you have any follow-up
I
comments?
don't have anything to follow up with.
Okay. As you can tell, this is, it seems like a kind of cut and dry case because we do have regulations to
Yes, ma'am.
follow, and we have no precedent not to follow them.
Yes, ma'am.
This from my commissioner's perspective. I'm going to open it up to if any other commissioners have any other questions here. Anyone? Okay. If so, then like move to a motion.
I've got one question.
Yeah.
I know that there was some kind of resolution that was made by just putting vinyl siding on the rear of the house. Will there ever be an option for him to do 3 sides and then the front panel that's facing the road that's seen from the street to then be preserved, and he can come back and do, painting or hardy plank there that, you could capture some cost savings by doing something along those lines?
Well, that was actually discussed, but because the sides of the home are very visible here, it wouldn't be permitted as a visible piece of the architecture. But definitely on the rear, you can't see it back there, so we don't have purview there.
Appreciate it.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. All right, motion? I can make the motion if I need to. Let me get back over here. All right, for case at 1008 Lawrence Street, the request to appeal the staff decision regarding exterior changes. I make a motion that the DRC support staff's decision and deny their request to make the exterior changes to vinyl siding that has been asked. Did that cover enough of it? Tell me, staff.
If you would
Sorry.
cite the guidelines in the section.
Yeah, you know what, I'm looking for that, I'm sorry, I've got pieces everywhere here. Staff, can you help me? Because,
Sure, that would be
am
per
I
the
not
University,
finding it?
University Hill Architectural Conservation Guidelines, Section 8.
Thank you, I was looking for like the numbers and such.
Yes,
Okay,
Section 8.
Per the University
Yep.
Hill Architectural Conservation District Guidelines, Section 8, Item 6. Do I have a second? I have neither a second nor a redirect.
I'll give it a second.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Broom. We'll move for a roll call.
Mr. Baker? Yes. Mr. Broom?
Yes.
Ms. Jaco?
Yes.
Mr. Salibi?
Yes.
And Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other business on the agenda?
None.
All right, motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
All right. I'm sure we all agree, seconds? Yes. All right, thank you, guys.